You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. You can make this possible. In a huge upset, Cori Bush, one of the leaders of protests against the police shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, defeated longtime Congressman William Lacy Clay. The Clay family, held that seat for 50 years. It was a huge upset there, of course. And how huge was it? Well, in 2 years ago, Clay beat Bush by more than 20 points. Yesterday, though, Clay won the county vote, lost the city vote, and that's what put Bush over the top. I'm going to go to my panel here. Robert, I'm going to start with you. The Bush one is huge. Again, ending a 50-year Clay dynasty, holding that congressional seat. She outraised him, outspent him on television and radio in the last several weeks. Some folks say he took this race for granted, thinking he beat her by 20 points. He can do it this time. This time, she's the one who is going to be heading to Congress come January.
Yeah, I think if there's anything that we learned from the wave of young progressives that have come in the last couple of years to Congress is that for the old guard who are comfortable in their district, do not be comfortable. These young lions are coming and they are hungry. They are, if you saw the AOC shoes from her campaign against Crowley, where they were worn through to the bottom from knocking on doors and going door to door. These people are out here. They are hungry, or they are ready. They are campaigning. They have the wind at their backs. One part of all this activism that we have seen is that young people are motivated. Young people aren't just showing up every 4 years for presidential elections. They are turning out for primary races. They are turning out for off-year elections. They're turning out for city council races and county commissions. So if you are comfortable in your seat, just know there's a 25 to 35-year-old who is ready, who is in the streets, who has the community at his back. And don't be surprised if we see more of these established seats turn over in the next couple of years because a new generation is ready and they are coming through.
But see, the thing that I find to be interesting, Scott, when I see people talk about taking on the establishment, first of all, you look at many of these folks, they ran against other people. I mean, even though Charlie Rangel was retired, he ran against Adam Clayton Powell, right, and he beat him. Right. So, I've always said point blank, I'm not offended when people run against incumbents because I'll say all the time, you're not guaranteed that seat. So you shouldn't be offended. How dare they challenge me? No, what you do is you establish your record, you get out there and you run. Look, yesterday the results in New York were certified. Congresswoman Yvette Clarke won her race, 54% of the vote. The other 4 or 5 candidates, they split the other 46%. What did she do? She ran. She raised money. She talked about her record, talked about being the only black woman in the New York delegation, and she ran hard. That's what you're supposed to do. I don't get these people who somehow act like you're supposed to be like, oh my God, how dare they oppose me? I got to go out and campaign. Yeah, it's not your seat. It's the people's seat.
Yeah, but here's the problem. 50 years of reign. That's that's more than a dynasty. That's something else. That's a documentary in regard to leadership in that jurisdiction. That's one thing. That's a huge upset. But secondly, when you hold that seat as an incumbent and the accoutrements of being a federal elected official, you're called honorable. You're feted wherever you go. You have offices and accoutrements that you would not have unless you were very successful in the private sector. You get comfortable. You start to believe in yourself, what's real and even not real. You still believe that. So you do develop a sense of entitlement. The reality is, though, with Black Lives Matter and the young people becoming more active, they're not afraid to take on an incumbent because they don't see the establishment, the CBC, those who get reelected every 2 years, are seen as the establishment, right? And so they're not afraid because they're not being responded to, and our people keep dying. And so one way is to raise money in March, but another way is to run for office and change leadership. And hopefully Cori Bush and others won't become complacent and entitled to the political process. They are subject to the same danger.
Well, Julian, it's real simple, and that is you run, sometimes you lose, sometimes you win. The point I'm making is this here. I don't care who you are. There is no one who is entitled to a political office. If a young upstart wants to run against you, you run against him. And the bottom line is, look, Lacy Clay beat Bush by 20 points last time. And so what you got to do is, when you're in the House, you got to run every 2 years. There's no guarantee. And so you got to run. Julian, go ahead. Hold on. Julian, go ahead.
I'm very impressed by Cori Bush. I was watching MS today, and then I went and looked her up. She looks amazing for any number of reasons. She's a single mom. She has been evicted before. She only got really civically involved after Michael Brown was killed in Ferguson. And she has basically built a political machine for herself. Meanwhile, as Scott said, as you said, Lacy Clay probably got complacent. Some of the things that I read from the St. Louis paper indicate that he may not have spent very much money on advertising. Why? Because he didn't think he had to. This woman has been taking it to the streets, walking the streets. I'm highly doubtful, but I don't know as a fact, that Lacy Clay did the same thing. So we're going to see a lot of this. These young folks are not going to be turned around. In contrast to Lacy, let's look at Maxine Waters. She's had opponents for the past 6 or 7 elections. There ain't nobody going to get rid of Maxine, because Maxine is involved in her community. She walks the streets. She knows people. She spends money. So, she one time said, yeah, they can keep on coming. And that is where you have it.
But what you do have going on, though, what you do have that's happening is you have folks who are supporters of Bernie Sanders, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and others who say that these are corporate Dems. You see them, for instance, they try to target Congressman Gregory Meek in New York. A lot of these folks, they say that Congressman Hakeem Jeffries is a corporate Dem. But here's the whole piece. I don't care who you are. You got to run. You got to run. And so if you get targeted, that's the nature of the job. If you establish what your record is and why you can deliver the bacon to your district, they're more than likely going to reward you. But if you don't, and you assume that you're just going to have it easy, you're probably going to lose.
But I think every one of those Democrats that you named who are CBC members, their counterpoint to you would be exactly right. I do have to run every year, and I'm not entitled to it. But within their concept and precept of running hard to hold onto that seat, to make a political difference for their constituencies, it's simply not enough when they lose, when you have the young, energetic upstarts who want change now and are messaging the community that they can do better. They both run hard, if you will, but the messaging, the energy, and the volunteers and what have you are just outpacing them for the 2020 election. Those incumbents are still running like they're in the 80s and 90s.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. That has nothing to do, Robert, with the other person being young. That has to do with the person who's the incumbent being lazy.
The energy.
What you have to do
with energy.
Look. Maxine, no. Follow me here. Julian just said it, Robert. Maxine is 81. Yeah. They call her Auntie Maxine. She is Congresswoman Maxine Waters is 81 years old, but has this whole generation of young people because she is speaking to the issues. That's the point, Robert.
Yeah, and no, it's interesting you say that because, for example, the late John Lewis, who recently passed, everyone in Atlanta has a selfie with John Lewis, and when he passed, they posted it. Why? Because he was omnipresent in the community. He ran his last race the same way he ran his first race. When I was in college, was cutting keys at Home Depot, working in the hardware department, John Lewis would come in and we would literally have a 45-minute conversation with a 19-year-old kid making minimum wage. That is how you run for office. Many of these Congress people don't even live in their own district full time. They get houses or apartments in the District of Columbia, Northern Virginia, in Maryland, and they spend most most of their year there. They feel like they can simply run on name alone, not have to be responsive to the needs of young people. And when they say corporate Democrats, that means your voting record is such that you are putting the interests of the corporations that fund your campaign ahead of the interests of your district. And if you start thinking that money is the same thing as power, you will soon find yourself on the outs with the people in your district. So it's regular mathematics that if you're not responsive to the people in your district, you're not going to be representing the people of your district much longer.
And look, I'll give you an example. Congresswoman Joyce Beatty. It was an upstart who ran against her. Beatty went out there, campaigned, debated her, and she crushed her. That is called you gotta run. All right, folks, back to our Roland Martin Unfiltered video in just one moment.
It's time to be smart. When we control our institutions, we win. This is the most important news show on television of any racial background. Y'all put $2, $3, $4, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30 on this and keep this going. What you've done, Roland, since this crisis came out in full bloom. Anybody watching this, tell your friends. Go back and look at the last 2 weeks, especially of Roland Martin Unfiltered. I mean, hell, go back and look at the last 2 days. You've had sitting United States senators today, Klobuchar and Harris. Whatever you have that you can bring to Roland Martin Unfiltered to support it, please do, because this information may literally save your life.
Watch Roland Martin Unfiltered daily at 6 p.m. Eastern on YouTube, Facebook, or Periscope, or go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered Daily Digital Show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.